When Breaking Bad came to an end with the 2013 series finale Felina, it cemented the AMC series as possibly the greatest television show ever made. The ending itself was darn near perfect, from the ways it wrapped up various characters' stories to the tension and drama it maintained right up to the final shot. But it still left us with a handful of questions. That's why we're hoping El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie coming to Netflix, will provide us with some answers to the following questions.
You ready? Yeah.
Number 1, what happened to Jesse? Clearly, El Camino is all about Jesse, so we know we'll get this one answered. The last time we saw Jesse, he was driving away in an El Camino, get it? From the compound where he'd been held captive. It's safe to say that he probably didn't return to anything resembling a normal life. After all, he's still a wanted man, as we saw in the El Camino trailer.
Investigators are searching for a person of interest who fled the scene. Anyone with information on this massacre is asked to call police immediately.
Also, the DEA probably has that video confession Hank had Jesse record in their possession somewhere. Wherever Jesse is and is going, he must be living a life on the run. Where's the rest of Walt's money? Todd's neo-Nazi uncle Jack addressed this in the series finale. He and his gang of assholes stole a whole bunch of Walt's cash and stashed it somewhere. Now, Walt killed Jack before he could reveal where, but it's possible that Jesse knows, and he might return to dig it up in El Camino. There's also a chance that the authorities confiscated it after finding it in the meth lab or elsewhere on Jack's compound. Or perhaps the crew buried it somewhere in the desert as Walt did. In addition to Walt's money, let's not forget that Jack's crew also made a pretty penny on meth during Jesse's captivity as well. What about Brock, Jesse's girlfriend's kid? We saw Jesse's on-again, off-again girlfriend Andrea tragically killed by Todd during season 5. Leaving her son, with whom Jesse had a cute relationship, in the wind. We can speculate that Brock went to live with another family member, like his grandmother, but either way, it would be nice to get an update in the movie. Judging by the trailer, it looks like Jesse will at least make an attempt to check in on Brock. What about the irrevocable trust? In the show's final episode, Walt confronted his former colleagues, Gretchen and Elliot Schwartz, and intimidated them into agreeing to transfer Walt's money to his son Walt Jr., now going by the name Flynn, via something called an irrevocable trust. Gretchen and Elliot believed that Walt had hired a pair of assassins to ensure that they would follow through on the deal.
For any reason that my children do not get this money, a kind of countdown will begin.
In reality, it was just Badger and Skinny Pete with a pair of high-powered laser pointers. It sure seemed like they fell for the trick, but who knows? We hope to find out whether they kept their word in El Camino. In addition to helping Walt intimidate the Schwartzes, Badger and Skinny Pete indirectly revealed that Jesse was likely still alive.
We were sure it was you, cause that shit is choice, yo. Better than ever. I mean, you know.
Jesse.
From what we've seen so far, the pair definitely makes a cameo in El Camino. Skinny Pete is featured in a teaser as he's questioned by authorities about Jesse's whereabouts.
I don't know what to tell you. No way I'm helping you people put Jesse Pinkman back inside a cage.
Clearly, they won't be helping out law enforcement in their search, but beyond that, we don't know what role they'll play in Jesse's future plans. Did Lydia die? By the end of the series, it's assumed that Lydia, formerly Gus's and then later Walt's main source of the methylamine needed to cook meth, is dead. Walt poisoned her using ricin, which is pretty much guaranteed to be fatal. However, she likely died after the show's actual final shot, Walt lying on the ground in the meth lab, which took place moments after Walt told Lydia he'd poisoned her.
How are you feeling? Kind of under the weather? Like you've got the flu? That would be the ricin I gave you. I slipped it into that stevia crap that you're always putting in your tea.
Ricin can apparently take quite a while to actually kill its victims, so she might have lived for some time after these events. El Camino might reveal more of her final living moments, such as whether she recorded any kind of confession or accusation before expiring. And in case you were wondering, Lydia has also appeared in Better Call Saul, AMC's Breaking Bad prequel spinoff. Walt's signature product, the blue-colored meth, had a tendency to keep cropping up during Breaking Bad's story, even after Walt stopped cooking it himself.
What's this I hear about blue meth still being out there?
What do you mean?
Have you heard anything? Is it still being sold?
Yeah.
At the end of the series, the meth lab in which Jack's white supremacist gang had been forcing Jesse to cook was still standing. Granted, it was also swarming with cops. If blue meth continues to circulate even after Walt's death, Jesse would be a prime suspect. Speaking of Jesse, what are the chances that he returns to the lab for a cook? By the end of Breaking Bad, Jesse perfected Walt's process and can easily cook a near flawless product. Assuming he can't track down Jack's treasure chest of money, he may be forced to cook some meth in order to make some quick cash. Was Skyler able to avoid prosecution? By the end of Breaking Bad, all of the White family assets were seized by the authorities, so Skyler was forced to move into a small apartment with her children, taking up a job as a taxi dispatcher. During their final face-to-face conversation, Walt gave Skyler some information, the location of Hank and Steve's bodies. He hoped she could use this information as leverage to avoid prosecution.
Now you trade that for a deal with the prosecutor. You get yourself out of this.
This scene is the last we see of the family as Walt says his final goodbyes to Skyler, Holly, and from a distance, his son. With El Camino, we definitely need an update on how the family is faring after everything went down. What happened to Marie? Marie's final scene in the series is a phone call warning Skyler that Walt was back in town. What she didn't know was that Walt was already in Skyler's kitchen. If Skyler uses the information that Walt provided to her to avoid prosecution, Marie will likely deduce that the two were in contact, and given Walt's role in Hank's death, she probably won't be too happy about it. Hopefully we'll learn more about the status of the sisters' relationship in the movie. And finally, could Walt still be alive? Breaking Bad's final shot seemed pretty clear regarding the fate of Bryan Cranston's iconic hero-turned-villain. His lifeless eyes and pooling of blood clearly suggested the character was dead. However, there is a chance that El Camino could possibly retcon that fate by suggesting that Walt might have been resuscitated by paramedics after collapsing in the lab. Imagine a Breaking Bad follow-up where Walt is in prison. Sure, it seems a bit far-fetched, but we'll find out for sure in El Camino. So what lingering Breaking Bad questions do you hope are answered in the upcoming Netflix movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.